Fitzsimmons saying his first-rounder, Oliver Miller, will be one of the top 3 rookies in the league this year. Well, those two teams, Phoenix and Miami, meeting head-to-head in Miami. A little contact, that's been the headline of this NBA preseason. Cedric Ceballos and Matt Geiger. Then Charles Barkley with that forearm to Ronnie Cycle's head. Kevin Lockery not a fan of what was going on. Here's Harold Miner, one-on-one, taking Dan Marley down through the lane using the right hand. Heat were down just 1 at the half. Third quarter, there's Oliver Miller, the big guy out of Arkansas, to the other big guy, Charles Barkley. It's a good tag team there, Barkley and Miller. Tied at 87, and the give and go. Cycli and Miner in the lane. He might be a little shorter than we thought he was in college, but he can still sky. Miami wins by 4. Miner had 14 in this game. Miller did not score. Glenn Rice led the Heat with 27. Willie Burton, 23. KJ and Tom Chambers, 21 for the Suns.
They've put Charles in charge, and Mr. Barkley hasn't disappointed yet. He's averaged close to 25 points a game in the preseason. Barkley looking to add to those stats against Utah. Got up to a great start with a slam. He had 22 on the night. But it was the Malones who got it done for Utah. Jeff feeding Carl for the ho-hum lay-in. Carl with a little love tap to Barkley. Jeff Malone now with the running one-hander. Jeff had 28 to lead everybody. Jazz win this one, 126-112. Carl did chip in with 26.
Sir Charles was used to winning games for Philly, but this was his debut for the Suns, and he responded. Barkley terrorized the Clippers for 37 points and 21 rebounds that sent a message to the Western Conference and a gift for the fans.
Gentlemen, he throws the ball into the stands. Oh, me, only Charles could do it. Phoenix going head-to-head with Portland Tuesday night, and along with Charles Barkley, one of the other new faces for Phoenix ex-Blazer Danny Ainge, who deserted Rip City for the desert. And back in Portland, not welcomed back by his ex-mates. He's hounded by Porter and Cliff Robinson, and the shot off the top of the backboard. Blazers off and running. Mario Ellie to Cliff Robinson, who sticks it, and it was a 34-26 Blazer lead. Then Drexler on the breakaway, but look at Charles Barkley bringing that Eastern Conference style of play out west with a tough block. Game was tied at 48 at the break. Fourth quarter, Ellie to Cliff Robinson. They go behind the back, Terry Porter, and back to Ellie, who lays it in. Portland goes up 75-71. The Blazers running. Porter to Ellie, who goes off the cushion. It's still a 4-point Blazer lead. Then Sir Charles getting the Suns back in at the hoop, and some harm. 81-80, Portland hanging to a 1-point lead. Back to Ellie, the short jumper. The Blazers take a 7-point advantage. Ellie had 13 of his 17 in the fourth quarter. Barkley finishes with 21 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists, but 7 Blazers were in double figures as the Portland Blazers do win it. Terry Porter, 16 for Portland. And Charles Barkley never one to miss his share of the offense. The bank shot. He called it over Karl Malone. The Suns up 26-19, and they add to it. Barkley passing to Cedric Ceballos, who puts it in. Charles playing some defense here on the mailman, rejecting Karl Malone. Suns up by 10 at halftime. Malone did have 32, but off the pick and roll, Karl misses the easy one. Paul Westphal didn't need to look at the scoreboard because Barkley was lighting it up. Against Malone, the turnaround, he had 25 points and 14 rebounds as the Suns win, and Charles has a good thing going. Utah 0-2 at the Delta Center. Last year they had a 37-4 record at home. The Jazz shot just 37% in the game. Ceballos had 24.
The Sonics were unbeaten under Coach George Karl, but they had yet to face the Suns and Charles Barkley, and Barkley gets free and, you know, gets 2. Charles led the Suns with 28. Then Dana Barrels trying to get something going for Seattle. Barrels scored 9 straight points in the first, tried to make it a game, but then it was time for the Phoenix big man, Miller to Barkley. Danny Ainge then doing what he did with Portland, making the pass to the big guns. Tom Chambers slams it. Chambers had 16. Suns coach Paul Westphal likes what he sees, why not? But you got to watch out for this guy, Shawn Kemp, at all times. Kemp finished with 19 on the night. The Suns in a gale night, though, catches up with a loose ball here, feeds Barkley. Isn't it great when you can feed Barkley? You know it's 2 points. Then it was Cedric Ceballos is receiving the long outlet pass, and you know what he does with it. Ceballos, 11 points in 23 minutes, and Ricky Pierce showing the effects of playing the run-and-gun Suns. Phoenix wins this one. The ex-Razorback, the big man, coming through with the mighty move inside over Rick Chilcutt. Then Miller posting up on Lionel Simmons. No contest. Miller with a bank off the glass. Then it's Miller with another one-handed jam. Miller with 10 first-half points. Sir Charles likes it very much. Miller can play D as well, rejecting Coswell. Then it's Barkley leading the break. Watch this pass behind the back to Ceballos. Ceballos had a great game. He had 30. Gary St. Jean not happy. Sir Charles showing some attitude. The rejection of Randy Brown. Then he says, hey, don't you dare come back into my lane ever again. Second half, more Miller going baseline around Anthony Bonner. Gets the basket and the foul. The Suns win this one easily. Miller with 19 points. He also showed he can pass. He tied the team lead with 5 assists. An off night for Barkley, though. Charles just 3 of 13 from the field.
Here's Michael, who had 40 on the night. Here's Charles, who had 22 on the night. But it was more Michael than Charles, as Michael pulls up and hits nothing but the bottom of the net. And then it's Barkley going strong to the hole, past Horace Grant, the kiss off the glass, and then Michael took over. He had 28 first-half points. The degree of difficulty, you decide yourself. Inside, outside, 1 on him, 2 on him, surrounded, it didn't matter. He did everything, not only on offense, but also on defense. The turnaround on Cedric Ceballos. And guess who's coming to dinner? Michael says, get it out of here, to Cedric Ceballos. These guys had a pretty good road trip. Got stung, though, in the Forum on Friday night, where Michael had over 50. You know, he's had over 40 points 146 times in his career.
Since KJ's return from the injured list, Phoenix has not won. Blazers and Suns, and KJ fired up about it. The takedown, but Terry Porter's the one who got hit with the technical. KJ was just named a National Caring Award member. On the other end, Jerome Kersey with a slam dunk. The Blazers by 2. Charles Barkley lit it up, beating the triple team here and getting the jumper to fall. He had 20 points in the first half. And then Barkley on defense. Kevin Duckworth going to the hole, but no chance. Charles shoves it back down. The Suns led by 6 at the break. Third quarter, Drexler the three-pointer. He scored 36 in the fourth quarter. Strickland, watch this, a great pass. Porter goes right by Chambers, who was standing there to tie the game at 95, and then Barkley down the stretch. That's why the Suns got him. Off the cushion, 33 points, 18 rebounds, and the Suns win one they really wanted, out-rebounding Portland 61-50. Drexler hit 11 of 13 from the floor, but only 11 of 22 from the free throw line. After their loss, the Blazers will play the Lakers next on Friday in Rib City. Suns going at it in Phoenix. Alonzo Mourning to Muggsy Bogues, stolen by Charles Barkley. The Suns had 11 steals. Barkley, 13 points, 14 rebounds. Kevin Lynch driving, goes behind the back to Alonzo, who gets 2 of his 13. Mourning to show Charles Barkley how he can play. A little bit of defense on Nigel Knight, blocking the shot. Then again, Mourning the rejection as Gerard Mustaf drives through the lane until Alonzo is there to shove it away. Mourning had 3 blocks. Larry Johnson scoring for the Hornets. 27 points and 11 rebounds following his own miss. But the sun that really shines, Cedric Ceballos. He's fouled and goes at it with the rookie Alonzo Mourning. In fact, Ceballos, who had 20, said the trash talking may have rubbed off from playing alongside Charles Barkley.
Against Charles Barkley and the Suns, it was Razorback against Razorback. That's the Big O, Oliver Miller, Todd Day, and Lee Mayberry. Another Razorback, the kiss off the glass. He had 7 points, 7 assists. Todd Day for 3. If you're scoring at home, good. 14 points. The Big O, then Oliver Miller. Follows it up. And the lay-in. He had 15 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. And the Big O looking for Nigel Knight, one of those 6 assists. As for Knight, he had 7 assists. He would find Cedric Ceballos. Phoenix wins it by 10.
Charles always smiling at the Meadowlands. Look at him. Lose Chris Dudley and get the easy dunk. Do it inside in the paint, do it outside the stripe. Charles pulls up. Dudley doesn't guard him. Charles hits a 3 at 14 and a half, and even sends an Auburn Tiger greeting to his former Tiger friend Chris Morris. But Morris played very well, inspired by Barkley. Gets the rebound and gets the slam. The Suns lead 7 at the break. Third quarter, the Nets jamming. Anderson to Petro. Alley-oop to Morris, who had 25. The Suns lead 10 after 3. But in the fourth, here's Charles. Gets position on Morris, gets the rebound, the putback. Suns lead by 8. The lead down to 3 late. Drazen Petrovic stripped by Nigel Knight. And the Suns hang on to win 105-100 as Charles closes it out. 34 points and 12 boards. It ends the Nets' longest win streak in 9 years. It was 6 games coming in. The Nets missed Derek Coleman in this game. Second straight game he sat out with a knee sprain.
Charles Barkley and Larry Johnson. Here's an example of some of that excitement. LJ finishing off the alley-oop. Then it's Charles Barkley matching the jam. Check out the breakaway slam. Suns down by 3 at the half. Scoring outside, no problem for Johnson in Barkley's face and over him for 2. Johnson led Charlotte with 29. Barkley says, hey, I can hit from downtown, no problem. 3 of his 23. Suns up by 3 after 3. How about assists? Okay, here's one. Johnson on the break to Kendall Gill for the layup. Hornets stay close late, but Barkley says, I can dish off 2. This one to Dan Marley. Marley had 21 points. Barkley had 10 assists, and Paul Westphal's Suns have won their 5th straight.
It's been a rough ride for the Magic, especially in the month of December, where they have gone 0 for 5. Everywhere they looked on the calendar, losses. But they looked at the big guy, Shaq, to turn it around. He had trouble against the Suns defense, missing the dunk. And Phoenix goes the other way. Barkley bringing it up, the outlet to Cedric Ceballos for the reverse jam, and the Suns led by 4. Second half, Barkley, great feed to Tom Chambers, who had a big night off the bench. Shaq and company battling back in the 4th quarter. Nice move on Oliver Miller, the one-handed stick. The Magic go up by 3. Then in the 4th quarter, Suns down 1. Off balance, Dan Marley gives the Suns a 1-point lead. Magic battling back. Dennis got the 3-pointer. They're down only 2. Paul Westphal watching it close. They foul Shaquille O'Neal. This gets the Magic to within 1. Matt Gukas watching as he could have tied it. A 53% foul shooter does not get it done. And Barkley and Miller, there's some beef going together there. They hang on as the Suns win it 108-107.
Charles was talking. Say, listen, Glenn Rice, you can't stop us. You can't deal with us. You can't stop this, can you? No, Charles, you can't. Charles loves to do this. He loves to show off, loves to get the ball. And where's the three-point line? There it is. Swish. Barkley had 26 in the first half. Cedric Ceballos, the give and go with Dan Marley. Ceballos slams it down. Then the Heat says, we can fly. Bimbo calls to Glenn Rice. Then Brian Shaw, the alley-oop to Harold Miner, and a major basket there. Then Shaw to Rice again. But the Heat is still down by 6. Third quarter, Charles Barkley, he can play defense, too, because he's so quick. Look at this. Thank you very much. The steal. Oh, look, nobody in front. Watch out, Charles. The slip. You could get hurt that way. 4th quarter, Suns by 3. Shot clock winding down. Danny Ainge hits the 3-pointer. Ainge had 23 points, and little old ladies from Miami Beach loved it, even though Miami lost 122 to 118.
Got it in the first half here, throwing up a 3-pointer. Shot 13 of 17 from the floor in the game and scored 23 in the first half alone. This one, he gets the shooter's bounce. The Suns led by 10 at halftime. Third quarter, Barkley taking it to the hole, abusing Tom Gugliotta. The Suns by 17, and then Gugliotta over Chambers, the hoop and the foul. LaBradford Smith getting to Gugliotta, who scored 27. The Bullets got within 7 before the Suns finished them off. Frank Johnson to who else? Charles Barkley, big-time slam. 36 points for the game, 10 rebounds, and the Suns make it 8 straight. They'll play the Lakers Friday night at Los Angeles. Danny Ainge had 3 3-pointers in the 4th quarter and scored 23 in the game to help Phoenix win. Harvey Grant did have 22 for Washington.
Looking for a 10th straight win against Golden State Dream Team get-together. Barkley and Mullen and Charles takes it from Chris. Barkley scored the first 15 for Phoenix. Unbelievable. But Mullen would answer. Here's Chris with the 3. It rips cord. Warriors by 6 after 1. Second quarter, Cedric Ceballos, the miss. Barkley, the putback. Remember that. We'll refer to it again later. How about Mullen one more time? Hits a 3. The Suns by 6 at the break. To the 4th quarter, Chambers miss. Barkley in the paint. Gets it back. Puts it up. Score it with 1. The bank was open. Mullen another 3. He had 7 threes and 34 points. Game tied. Ceballos missed. Barkley followed. What a game for Barkley. 35 points, 16 boards, a 10th straight win for Phoenix by 2. That ties a franchise single-season record.
Not a part of it. Watching, though, Mr. Barkley, the length of the court pass to Nigel Knight. Suns were in control this game early, but Charles was all over the place. Look at him blocking 7'2" Dikembe Mutombo. Dan Issel was in shock. In the second quarter, Mutombo, though, fights back with a jump hook over Barkley. Charles thought Mutombo, though, pushed off. He doesn't like that. And, of course, Barkley letting the ref know about how he feels. It's important, but ref says, that's nice, Charles, but you're out. Second half, Denver with a fast break. Macon finds Reggie Williams. Nuggets jump out in front in the 3rd quarter by 3. Dan Marley changed things, though. He just took care of the game from there. Thunder Dan nailing the three. Marley finishing with 25 points, 4 3-pointers. But the Suns got a boost off the bench from this guy, Richard Dumas. The bench, Marley and Charles for a while helped Phoenix win this one, 111-96.
Superstar point guard. Back last night, he's been only able to play in 4 of the Suns' 22 games. His old self right here. Feeds Charles Barkley for the easy inside hoop, but KJ only had 2 points and 2 assists, only played about 15 minutes. Other Suns pick up the slack. That's Nickel Knight. No, it doesn't count, George Karl. Suns by 5 at the half. Sonics come back. Nate McMillan, the half-court lob to Gary Payton. Paul Westfall hoping the Suns can stay undefeated in December. Suns by 3 with 35 seconds left. That's Eddie Johnson with a 3-ball. We're tied at 110. Phoenix hits some free throws to take another lead. Sonics down 3 again. Derek McKee misses the last chance free throw. Barkley, that was smart. Gets a rebound, tosses it the other way. The Suns with the victory, 113-110. The Suns have won a club record 12 in a row. They are undefeated in the month of December.
Hosted the league's coldest team Sunday night in a meeting of 2 streaking teams. Denver had dropped 10 in a row as Dikembe drops to the floor. Charles had a great first half for 3. Good. Goes in for the easy slam. All 21 of his points arrived in the first half. Charles showing his agility, the nice move, the kiss off the glass. Barkley then decides to dole out a couple of assists. Mark West. And then Richard Dumas, one of the more talented players on this team. Cedric Ceballos finds Dumas. He had a career-high 27 for that Oklahoma State Cowboy. Dan Issel, yep, number 11 in a row. Suns win it 129-88. Ugly.
Charles comes through. Is he an instant impact player or what? The steal, the jam. Barkley, 19 points, 11 rebounds in the first half alone. Then in the third quarter, it's KJ with the alley-oop to Dumas. Suns by 10, 10 assists for Johnson. But the Rockets come back with good defense. Who else leading the way? Akeem with a block on Barkley. He didn't know what hit him in that one. OLAJUWON on the offense, too. The quick spin move around Chambers. Akeem with 24. Rockets trail by just 4 at the half. Suns too much. KJ finds Barkley. KJ with 10 assists in this game. Barkley 25 points. Then KJ with a nice move around Smith gets the basket and foul. KJ with 25 points. Suns win this easily. They hit their season-high point total.
Do not mess with Charles. Barkley, unbelievable tonight. All angles, 31, including this kiss right in JR's face. In the fourth, when it counted, David says, Charles, the game is on the line. Under 2 minutes to go, Dale Ellis, 3, good. Spurs within 1, 102-101. And then Marley shoots. Barkley outreaches David. Suns by 3, 42 seconds to go. Suns seem to be in control. Avery Johnson drives the lane. Barkley the block. Start the transition. And Thunder Dan at the other end. It's 106-101. Spurs didn't give up. On the inbounds play, the great hustle. Robinson will get the ball to Ellis. Tips it to Sean Elliott. Sean had 23, and we were tied at 107. 4 seconds to go. Spurs can get the last shot. But look, they have 6 players on the floor. Well, Charles says, that's a technical. 6, Charles says, in overtime. Dale Ellis, the clutch 3. Spurs up by 4. Suns down by a point when Tom Chambers has a chance to give his team the lead and perhaps the victory, and he won't do it. Give credit to the Spurs. John Lucas, they were dominated for 3 quarters tonight, and they held on to win it.
Page out of the Jordan book. As the Suns and Rockets meet in the first half, Charles playing like a guard. Richard Dumas the dunk, and I'll lead to that, says George Foreman. Then, off the half-court set. Draws everyone to him and feeds it to Mark West, and the Suns led by 20 in the first half. Charles, the point guard, wasn't perfect, though. The turnover, and it starts the break the other way for the Rockets. Kenny Smith to Vern Maxwell, and the Suns lead at half, just 5. But down the stretch, Charles to the big man, Oliver Miller with the slam. Charles had 10 assists and was fired up. Suns by 2. Charles on the defensive end, stopping Kenny Smith as time ran down, and Charles, you'll find someone to celebrate with as the Suns win by 2. Danny Ainge had a big fourth quarter, as you see.
At Reunion Arena, this is a good one. And Barkley, battered and bloody, still had a great first half, throws up the 3-ball, and that goes. And then when Cedric Ceballos misses the foul shot, watch Barkley fly into the lane and stick it. Barkley playing defense here, making the steal and taking it the other way. 24 points in the first half, and then some big defense on Terry Davis. That's not going anywhere except the other way. Suns by 12 at the break. The Mavs fired up in the second half despite the stare from Barkley. Derek Harper with a long 3. He had 31. And then Randy White Answering Sir Charles with a swat of his own. Harper to Sean Rooks, and the Mavs had a 1-point lead. But Barkley responded to give the Suns a 98-97 advantage before Dallas went cold from the foul line. Derek Harper was 8 of 10, but missed these two. Sean Rooks missed 2, so it was still 98-97 Suns, and Terry Davis missed 2 free throws, still 98-97, and that allowed the Suns the opportunity to put it away. Marley off of the assist from Barkley. They're smiling. They've been doing a lot of that lately. The Phoenix Suns have, winning this one 111-107. The Suns with a 2-game lead in Seattle, where the Sonics a 15-1 record coming in. And the big stars, you would think, Sean Kemp leading Seattle and Charles Barkley going at each other. Things rough for Kemp here. He's blocked not once, but twice by Oliver Miller. Meanwhile, Barkley, a little teamwork to KJ to Miller, who lays it in. And then Kemp gets involved on the boards. Payton off the miss. Look at Sean Kemp. Stay with this until he gets it to go. He had 14 rebounds. Then a little give and go. Payton to Kemp. He's through the lane and sticks it. 22 points. And Paul Westphal praying for help. Again off the Payton miss. Kemp is there for the rebound slam. Although there was a foul called, it was taken away, the hoop, and no harm. Charles next, though, stealing and taking it all the way. He scored 27, but Kemp too much in the end. Vince Askew passing to Kemp, who reverses this time off the cushion. And a little help, Eddie Johnson, the 3-ball, seals the deal. And Seattle taking a bite out of the Phoenix lead in the Pacific, so the Sonics are now 1 game behind the Suns in that division. Derek McKee had 24. Walt Williams lit it up early for Sacramento. On the break, Spud Webb to the Wizard. Tough layup, but he gets it to go. 18 points for Walt Williams. The Kings leading by 7. Here, great pass to Anthony Bonner. The Kings go on a 15-0 run and lead by 9 at halftime. But Charles Barkley, who scored 20 in the game, starts it with defense. Creating the steal, then Dan Marley with a one-handed stick, and Phoenix on a 19-0 run. Only 10 third-quarter points for Gary St. Jean's team, and in the fourth quarter, Oliver Miller to Richard Dumas for the slam dunk. Miller smiling. He played outstanding basketball defensively. The Suns lead by 2 games now over the Sonics in the Pacific.
Cavs and the Suns, and they saw Danny Ferry filling in for the injured Mike Sanders with a couple of threes, and the Cavs were up 15 in the second quarter. Now, Charles was watching in a sports bar nearby, and he saw Richard Dumas with 2 of his 23. Suns down 8 at the break. In the third quarter, it gets sloppy. KJ in the paint, try to force it in, turns it over. Craig Elo to Gerald Wilkins, who got the start, gets the double clutch slam. In the fourth quarter, the Suns bench comes alive. Tom Chambers, the baseline for 2. Chambers another hurt, and the Cleveland lead all of a sudden is 3. It's another hoop, not another hurt. It did hurt when Danny Ainge hit this 3 to tie the game at 98. But it's the Cavs bench, and Danny Ferry, who had 16, and nobody checked him down the lane. 6 of 9 from the floors. Cleveland wins.
Hooper, hoop header, bucket header, whatever his name is. Anyway, here's the action. Third quarter, Harvey Grant steal and dunk at the other end. The Bullets by 3. And then Washington pounds it inside. Tom Gugliotta. Nice feed, though, to the cutting Larry Stewart for the layup and the foul. Gugliotta is turning into a very, very nice passer. Fourth quarter, Charles Barkley, pump fake, drive, traffic. So what? Hits the shot anyway. He had 21 points, and Wes Unsel's going, please stop the guy. Suns by 8. Kevin Johnson penetrates, feeds Richard Dumas for the slam right there. Dumas had 26, 18 of those in crunch time, which would be the fourth quarter, as the Suns go on to mend their ways by a final count of 122 to 115.
Dominique Wilkins enjoying a friendly how-do-you-do before the game. Barkley showboating a bit. Behind-the-back pass from midcourt. Charles, but he hits Richard Dumas for the layup. Then Barkley helping out a bit. Dumas misses the shot, and Charles says, look, this is how you put it home. Don't mess with Sir Charles, Mr. Hawk. Don't do it. Dominique Wilkins shows off monster time inside. Barkley doesn't like to be upstage, so he just rejects Adam Keefe. And then Charles nails the off-balance jumper and gets the foul. Suns win 110 to 91. Afterward, the game, Charles said, it's been a rough week for me financially. You wouldn't believe how expensive the price of 75 tickets are in the NBA. He had a lot of friends come over from Alabama. Charles, don't worry, I think you can afford it.
Charles Barkley was having a few laughs with Olden Polynice off the injured list. First quarter, Charles with time running down on the shot clock, the fake, and the basket. Charles with 24. Detroit got their offense primarily from this guy, Joe Dumars, 36 for him. Pistons up 3. First half, time running down. Phoenix lets the 3 fly. Phoenix getting it to Danny Ainge, who hits at the buzzer. Phoenix by 6 at the half. In the third, it's Thunder Dan Marley's turn. One of 3 straight threes for Marley. That put Phoenix up by 12. The Suns were rolling. Danny Ainge, the lob inside to Richard Dumas, 2 of his 22. Paul Westphal feeling ill because the Pistons were on their way back. Joe Dumars hitting the 3. Pistons were within 2 seconds to go with a chance to win. The ball goes to Terry Mills for the 3-point shot. In and out. Mills, an 18% three-point shooter. He almost had that, but Dan Marley and the Suns escape with a 2-point win in Detroit. So they were hot. Look at Christian Laettner, the fancy dribbling around Sir Charles to Person, and Chuck nails the J. The Rifleman was on target early, burying it from 3-point range. Person with 20 in the first. Wolves by 17. Suns, though, chip away. Marley the miss, but Barkley is there for the follow. Now 1.6 seconds left in the half. More Charles. Watch him nailing the impossible 3 at the buzzer. We're tied at 65 at the half. On to the second half. Sir Charles getting the alley-oop slam from KJ. Paul Westphal likes that stuff. Time running out, though, tied at 1:08. Suns try, but they can't get a shot off in time. We go to OT. Sidney Lowe with a sigh of relief. In OT, Wolves by 1, clock running down. KJ the miss, but Danny Ainge the tip-in for the game winner. Suns win it by 1.
Literally hanging in early. Well, Shaq got a kick out of it. As you look at it again, he said afterwards, when you try to do this, you can't do it. Maintenance man wasn't too happy, though, because he had to come out and do some work. So they just brought out a whole new backboard in support. Meanwhile, the Suns, 35-minute delay, went to practice. Practice paid off. Charles got Shaq into foul trouble. Barkley finding the high-flying Richard Dumas. O'Neal ran the Suns out, paying for it. KJ gets this one. Scott Skiles then says, I'll go into my big man. 2 of his 20. KJ drives, and Shaq says, not this time. He had a couple of blocks on the afternoon. Barkley again able to get Shaq into foul trouble. Shaq couldn't believe it. Next year, Shaq, you'll get this call. Not this year. Barkley finds Ainge, who finds the range, and he's fouled. And then Dumas, 2 of his career-high 31, the assist from KJ. Charles had the finishing touches, the turnaround jumper, and 28 points, 19 rebounds. The Suns win it 121-105.
Clips at the America West Arena, and Dan Marley puts up the hook and puts it in. Good night for Dan. Good night for the rest of the team as well. Here come the Clippers back the other way. Good feed and an easy 2 for Harper. LA was trying to stay in it, but Danny Ainge off the bench, and the bench was so strong. He spots up and hits the outside jumper. Ainge was on fire. The entire Phoenix team really pulled away. They dominated this game. Marley fakes the outside shot, then takes it to the rack for an easy 2. As a matter of fact, off the bench, Chambers at 18.
With a big night, 26 points, 19 rebounds, 7 assists. It was a game of runs. Sabalas uses all of the rim. Phoenix on a 17-4 run. Suns let Golden State back in it. Bushler with a putback. Warriors cut the lead to just 6. But in the third quarter, Golden State very sloppy. Mark West takes the loose ball up to KJ, way ahead to Danny Ainge. Golden State by 12. But Ainge was awesome from the outside. How awesome? How about 7 3-pointers? A career high, 33 points. The Suns roll right over the Warriors. Ainge shooting a solid 47% from 3-point range this year. Got in more shots in Seattle than Iran Barkley did in Vegas. More on Iran later. Now to the game. Seconds left in the second. Danny Ainge gets the tip back from Barkley. Hits the 3 at the buzzer. Suns by 12, their biggest lead of the game. Second half, Suns did not let up. More of the same. Chambers finds who else? Charles for the J. He had 33. George Karl wanted to know if this would ever end. Sean Kemp says, no, not yet. We're still in it. The spin move on Charles by Kemp. Then watch Sean here. The nice one-handed rebound and put back. Kemp with 23 points. Sonics up by 7. Time running out. Ainge to Barkley. Lets it fly. Suns by 1. Barkley is thrilled because it looks like that gave the game to the Suns, but the Sonics had some time left too, and Derek McKee takes it himself, takes rookie Richard Dumas to school, and scores the game winner on a lay-in, 95-94, a big victory for the Sonics.
He was out of the lineup with a bruised calf, but Charles Barkley leading the break, missed it there, and the Celtics go back the other way. D. Brown will finish it off in transition, and Boston at a 4-point lead. Charles not pleased with himself, so he'll try it again. This time, the dribble behind the back on the X-Man, and the X-Man can't stop him coming down the lane. Celtics, Chris Ford's team down 8 at the break. In the second half, it's more Barkley. Waits for the double, dishes to Danny Ainge, and a perfect 3 from the outside. Next time, Barkley is not doubled, and he takes advantage and takes X to the goal again. 32 points, 12 boards, 9 assists. Picking up the slack for KJ. Marley to Barkley. Behind the back to Chambers, who came off the bench and played very well. Reason to celebrate at the America West Arena, where the Suns are 20-1. No KJ, bruised right calf, out for a second game. And Atlanta starting. Steve Henson the lead for Dominique, 2 of his 27 points. But the Suns can also dunk. Richard Dumas had an unbelievable game. Bob Weiss was down 19 at the break. And Barkley, who's been passing the ball more with KJ out, gets the steal. Talk about getting your feet under you to set up for a three. Charles had 25. The Suns led by 23. So Weiss said, let's go for threes. And Kevin Willis, 5 of 18 shooting threes all year. Bank open in Phoenix, and one more time, he had 22, and it gets Weiss's team back with an 8. But then the Suns get serious. This is not a shot. It's a pass from Ainge to Dumas, and it was perfect. Then Dumas, watch him work on one of the better defenders, Augment, and get Stacey up in the air to get the hoop. A career high for Dumas, closing it out with the dunk. 32 points. The emerging star in the league, and Phoenix wins by 12. Barkley had his 3rd triple.
As usual, Stockton to Malone. Malone had 28. Stockton had 15 assists. 13 of those assists coming in the first half, and saying, go on ahead, Carl. You're paid to do that. I'm paid to do that. Michael Jordan, paid to do this. Michael had 30. The kiss and the foul. Julius saying, yeah, he is number 1. Shaq had 14. They weren't quiet 14. Bill Russell looking on at the rookie and his rise on defense. How about the rejection by Hakeem? Then at the other end, Stockton finds Thunder Dan. Marley had 18. And the rejection on Michael. Then missing the layup. All Michael could do was laugh. More of the strange, though. Shaquille, well, Wilt Chamberlain said he didn't think he had a jumper. Take that, Wilt. Pat Riley saying, well, I thought Patrick should have started, but thanks, Shaq. I'll take the points. Hardaway to the Admiral, who had 21. The East on the break. Mark Price, the three-point shooter, says, Joe, no. Dominique, Neek had 9. Then they got serious. Barkley and Pippen, get out of here. Down the stretch, Thunder Dan. 3 threes on the day and nothing but the bottom of the net. Mark Price, 6 threes on the afternoon. Price says to Marley, anything you can do, I can do better. With a little luck. This one, though, good. And back they went. Karl Malone inside. The West up by 5. Price was not done, saying don't celebrate too early, guys. Price buries it. And Pat Riley says, thank you. A 2-point game. Patrick Ewing didn't get to start, said he should have started over the Shaq, says we'll take that, and we'll go into overtime. In overtime, Stockton, using the pick and roll as he always does, buries the jumper. And then using the pick and roll again, and dishes off to Charles. He's added a 3 to his arsenal, and it was a big 3. And it's a victory, as Charles says, hold me, I'm falling. 135-132 the final. Malone, 28 points, 10 rebounds. Stockton had 15 assists. Michael had 30, but didn't have a good shooting effort. David Robinson, as I mentioned, with 21 points, also had 10 rebounds. Mark Price almost single-handedly bringing the East back, or at least keeping them in contention with 6 threes. Following the game, it was the mailman who said he was nervous making his rounds.
There's Charles, there's David Robinson, joking there, but the laughs didn't last long. It was a back-and-forth game. David Robinson blowing by Tom Chambers for the jam. Robinson with 35, Spurs by 3 in the third. Charles, let's fly from 17 feet. He had 29. He's pumped up, but the Spurs weren't through. How about the Avery Johnson alley-oop to Robinson? Pretty, but back comes Barkley. The drive by Robinson, who says he's tough to play against, but Barkley wins out. He had 12 boards also. Suns down by 2. Barkley finds Dan Marley from his favorite spot. Suns led by 1. Then Barkley says it's time to have a few laughs with my partner, Danny Ainge, but it would get tense down the stretch. Suns leading by 2. Ainge misses the free throw, but hustles after his own rebound. Then he just runs out the clock, and the Suns hang on to win it by 2, sending the Spurs to their first loss in 16 home games. Tom Chambers with 20 off the bench.
Charles Barkley night, and Houston fans with shaved heads get free admission to the game, and everybody, even even she wanted to get in on it, and Charles got a kick out of it. But he didn't get a kick out of this. Barkley rejected by Hakeem Olajuwon. 9 blocks for Hakeem. Kenny Smith through the legs. Rockets a 6-point lead in the opening quarter. Then Kenny Smith dishing to Hakeem, who had 32, and the Rockets up big. More pressure. Kenny Smith to Akeem, who gets it to Carl Herrera, who goes in over Barkley for 2 of his 21, a 20-point Rocket lead at the end of the opening period, and Paul Westphal hates when that happens. Houston has been doing that to teams lately. Time running out third quarter just to rub it in. Watch Vernon Maxwell for 3, 10 3-pointers for the Rockets, and they blow out the best in the West. Akeem with 32, as we said, 9 shots blocked, grabbed 9 rebounds.
Cavs should be much better than their third in the conference record of 36 and 19. Paul Westphal, quoting what Charlie Brown said to Lucy, tell your statistics to shut up. All Suns early. It's Barkley, the steal, beautiful behind the back pass to Ainge, and up and at him for the 2. And then Barkley covering all phases of the game. The alley-oop to Richard Dumas. He wrote the Three Musketeers. 25 points. The Suns on an 18-0 run. Dumas swipes. Frank Johnson goes out to Chuck for the slam. So the Cavs are down by 15 at the break, and Lenny Wilkins says, punt. But Cleveland has a surprise left. Mark Price, the beauty, pass to Doherty for the layup. And then there's been a John Battle sighting. In fact, he had a dozen points tough inside. Cavs -2, and they're on their own run. 18-2. John Buffet Table Williams over Barkley. Cavaliers led by 3. It's over. It's not over. Ainge the steal, and then Danny from way downtown. Bang. But it was 5 years ago Thursday that the Cavs got Larry Nance from Phoenix, and for the umpteenth time, he pays dividends. The board and the key hoop, and the Cavaliers win. The Suns' 19-game win streak at their new home is over. Nance logs 21 points, 17 boards.
Out for a while, and this game decided in the fourth quarter. Charles Barkley, nice move, time running out, ties the game at 80. Then Frank Johnson cutting inside to give the Suns, with the hoop and the foul, an 85-80 lead. The Blazers answer with Cliff Robinson. He hits. It's a 3-point Phoenix advantage, and then Strickland breaks down the Suns' defense. The basket and the foul tied it at 85. The Suns answer with a 2-man game. It's Danny Ainge, the former Blazer, to Barkley, back to Ainge, who cuts, and the Suns a 2-point advantage. But then Terry Porter driving the lane, the basket and the foul. The Blazers up 1. He had 26. And Portland finishing them off. Robinson to Strickland, and then Mario Elie. The finger roll and the foul against Charles Barkley, as the Blazers, without Drexler, knock off the Suns, who had to play without Richard Dumas. His back was bothering him. Team in Phoenix. And the assist behind the back to Dan Marley, who had 20. Phoenix on the run against the Sixers. Then Charles going around. Clarence Weatherspoon, the rookie that's supposed to take his place in Philly. Charles rejecting Armand Gilliam. Barkley said Gilliam was the one guy he didn't like and was going to go after him during this game. Suns by 17 at halftime. Richard Dumas, bad break here, difficult to watch. He rolls his ankle on the drive, taken to the hospital. It was not a break. We will detail the injury in a moment. Meanwhile, Manute Bol lights it up for the Sixers. There's nothing wrong with your tape. He is throwing up 3-pointers, not 4, not 5. Manute Bol with 6 3-pointers, 18 points for the game. But Barkley, too much. Inside the easy jam, Hornacek with his ex-teammate Dan Marley, and Manute and Barkley, a big bear hug. They both played outstanding as Barkley scores 36, 17 rebounds, 9 assists, and still looking like this year's MVP. The third game, he drives in and lays it in, 28 points for Kevin Johnson. Dallas answering with their veteran guard, Derek Harper. That goes to beat the shot clock. Mavs up by 2 after the opening quarter. Then off the steal, Charles Barkley. Behind the back, leaves it for Dan Marley. A hoop, some harm. Marley had 18. And Jimmy Jackson here, time running out in the first half, throws it up, and wow, we hit it. Suns trailing by 1 to Dallas at halftime. 19 points for Jimmy Jackson, but third quarter, Barkley ejected. You see the blatant elbow on Terry Davis. And Danny Ainge had to pick up the slack, hitting the 3. Suns up 5. Still Dallas in it. They go to the rookie with the game on the line. And Jimmy Jackson drives the lane and can't get the shot to go down. The Suns come down with the rebound and protect the win, 109-102.
Players dressed for the Warriors, more coaches than players on that bench, I think. Charles Barkley trying to take advantage, and he does, against Tyrone Hill here. And then Billy Owens comes over to help out. No help at all. Charles gets the bucket. Suns on the break. Danny Ainge to Dan Marley to Barkley. Then it's Marley to Charles, who just blows by Chris Gatling. 21st half points for Sir Charles. Then from the perimeter, Danny Ainge doing the damage, drilling the 3. Suns up by 14 at the half, and Don Nelson not thrilled with that. Check out the effort now by Dan Marley. A wild shot, and it hits all net. You thought that was good? Check this one out by Marley. Time running out in the third is good. Well, actually, no. It went in, but the basket doesn't count. Suns win by 11, 111-100. Cedric Ceballos chipping in with 20 points. The Blazers and Suns on a collision course early. KJ gets put down hard by Terry Porter, and Johnson not thrilled with that sort of treatment. Some trash talk. Nothing serious, though. No one ejected. Suns pulled away in the second. KJ to Marley for the slam. Part of a 40-point second period for the Suns. Kevin Duckworth showing his frustration, using some naughty words, too. He was ejected. More bright lights. KJ, the steal. Finds Thunder Dan. Suns up by 30 in this game. And then in the fourth, still to make his statement, Sir Charles Barkley with a little hang time. Suns just crushed the Blazers, 129-111 your final. Charles had 12 rebounds to go with his 22 points. Kevin Johnson and Doc Rivers. Rivers taking the ball up, and Kevin Johnson with a surprise for him, and Rivers doesn't take that and goes after KJ. And the bench is clear, and everyone goes after everyone else. Coaches, assistants, everyone gets in it. By far the worst spectacle in the NBA this season. And you thought you only saw this stuff in hockey. It gets worse. Greg Anthony wasn't in uniform. He's the guy with the flowered shirt. Throws the punch at KJ. You see Pat Riley, he went and tackled the gang. He got into it. Riley even ripped his pants in this melee. Rivers, KJ, Anthony Mason, John Starks, Danny Ainge all ejected. Anthony, there he is, escorted off, flower shirt and all. The teams did come back in the third. KJ still hot and bothered, had to be restrained by Coach Westphal and his teammates. Anthony back with his new duds, also still hopping mad. He had to be taken away for a second time. Finally to the game in the third, it was all Suns. Marley to Charles. Barkley loving this and rubbing it in big time. Barkley continued to taunt with this shot, and then the aftermath. Charles, nothing technical about this win for the Suns. 121-92 the final. The Suns won it on points.
And the fire that lights that passion, Charles Barkley, the focal point, first quarter, middle of the open floor, the crossover dribble, and he gets it to Cedric Ceballos, who gets 2 of his 17. Then Barkley with the jumper over Vlade Divac. 16 points for Barkley at the half. The Suns were up 60-55. And then he starts it with defense and gives Phoenix a 7-point third quarter lead. Then Barkley sees the double team and finds Tom Chambers, who scored 17. Barkley again, this time to Danny Ainge, who's cutting in. Charles with 8 assists. The Suns up 11 after 3. And in the fourth quarter, Frank Johnson to Charles, who fires up the 3. It's good, he's good, the Suns are good. They're the first team this season to reach 50 wins. The Lakers' 5th straight home loss, a club record. Ainge had 27 points.
At the other forward, in his 9th season, the Auburn at 6'6", number 34, Charles Barkley.
First quarter, KJ, and Charles blows by everybody. Inside, outside. 13 first half points. Suns up by 6 at the break. Second half, Sixers down by 10. And Armand Gilliam, he had been a focal point of Charles's criticism when he was a teammate. He says, take that and take that. Sixers down by 8. Charles, forget it. 22 points in the second half, and the Sixer fans really miss Charles. How much? How much? This is during a free throw. And Charles' reaction. Barkley had 35, a couple of grins. He said he couldn't wait until this game was over. It was that emotional for him to head back. He said, hey, the fans have always been great to me. He said it's been the other people.
Place was rocking for Michael and Charles, and the stars going after each other and running into the advertisements on the sidelines. Good start for the Suns. Dan Marley, right-hand jam. Phoenix up 36-25 after 1. Then KJ, terrific look to the cutting Cedric Ceballos, who was on fire. Suns by as many as 14. Michael brings him back. The drive in traffic and the left-hand dunk. Bulls get to within 1. But Barkley backs down Horace Grant and hits the jumper at halftime. Phoenix leads by 7. In the second, it's Michael again weaving through traffic with the right hand. Puts it off the window. Then Charles again takes Grant down on the box and turns and scores for 2. Late fourth quarter, tied at 100. Jordan, the drive, and the lane goes underhand. He was 19 of 31 shooting, 44 points. Down 2, Paul Westphal takes a timeout, and KJ, a perfectly placed lob to Charles, who slams it home. Then, game on the line, Barkley, great pick on Jordan. Springs KJ down the line of the lane, over Horace Grant for the game-winning hoop. The Suns add some free throws for cushion. It's all hugs and celebration for Phoenix, winning by 4 despite 44 from Michael. Suns improve now the NBA's best road record to 23-11. Ceballos, Barkley, KJ, 76 of 113 for Phoenix. Will Purdue, Stacey King, Scott Williams combined for 6. Suns 5.5 better than Chicago now. Again, the big boys of the East beaten by the Suns. Suns lost first time around. They win on the return.
Hottest home team hosting the hottest team, period. Chuck to KJ to Cedric Ceballos. Suns by 10. The Pacers hang in. Dale Davis decides to climb Mount Oliver Miller and get the dunk. But the Suns, who would lead by as many as 15, Dan Marley feeding Barks inside. And then KJ lobbing to Charles E. Barkley with 32 points, to the utter disappointment of Detlef Schrempf, who says, at least Dan could have done my highlights if we had to lose. Suns by 10. They won 7 straight. Role reversal. The Suns 21 games up on the Lakers, hosting them in Phoenix. Kevin Johnson hot at the start. Here's the great scoop shot, and he draws the foul on the way to 32 points. Lakers leading by a tray with 16 seconds left in regulation. Kevin Johnson from way downtown, it's a brick. Kicks it back to Marley from way downtown. Bang! He drills the 3. We're tied with 10.8 seconds left. Now we're tied at 112. Lakers going with the win. Anthony Peeler, the rookie, with the turnaround over KJ. Lakers by 2 with 1.6 left. Now the Lakers by 2. Who's the inbounds to? Marley again! Yes! Nothing, no basket interference. That was a clean three-pointer. And then it suddenly became Hug Dan Marley night for the crowd at Phoenix as they go absolutely bizarre. They won the game, they won the playoffs, they won the Super Bowl, they won the World Series, they won America's Cup. It was they won the National Darts Championship.
But no joke here. Randy Brown, the drive falls right on his back. He was fine, though. He suffered just a bruised back. It looked a heck of a lot worse. Kings up by 11. How about Rod Higgins nailing the 3? A season-high 28. Suns come back. Ceballos, the fast break. 28 points, a season high for Cedric. Big game also for Thunder Dan, 22 for Dan. Suns just pull away at the end, as they always seem to do. 123-114. Tied at the half. Clippers on the run in the second half. Jackson to Ken Norman. And then Norman not only gets the hoop, he puts on a little show for the celebs at the LA Sports Arena. Clippers led by as many as 12 in this game. Richard Dumas stepping up, rallying the Suns. Danny Ainge can't find the bucket, but Dumas does. 28 for Richard. 12 boards, 2 for Richard Dumas. Nice play there. Brought Phoenix within 3. Larry Brown getting a bit antsy, but don't worry. His old buddy Danny Manning comes through. The big rebound and the follow. Manning with 31. The Clippers win it 111-104. Besides missing Barkley, the Suns were playing without KJ, Tom Chambers, and Ceballos. 15 points, 13 assists from Mark Jackson.
The Suns not exactly putting out a welcome mat for the T-Wolves, but they would hang in there for a while. Christian Laettner to the leading scorer on this team, Doug West, who had 27. The deficit 7, but Sidney Lowe tossed at the end of the third. He'd missed Laettner, turn it over 10 times in the game. Dan Marley will finish off in transition with the layup. Spurs up 12 without Charles. It was easy as they win by 14. KJ 5 points, 10 assists.
Charles Barkley not in the game, so the mailman taking advantage, giving Utah an 8-point lead. Chambers the turnaround. He's fouled. He had 18 for the Suns, who are hanging in there. Cedric Ceballos picking up the slack with no Barkley. Third quarter knocks it loose from Corbin and is there at the other end. They were tied at 86, but then the Suns ran out of gas and players. Stockton taking it away from Mark West. On the break, Tyrone Corbin to Karl Malone, who had 28. And the Jazz pull away as the Suns lose again without Barkley, Ainge, and Kevin Johnson.
In Arizona without Barkley, who may be back on Thursday for the Suns, but they've lost 3 of 4 without Charles, and would they lose on this night? It looked that way early. Winston Garland to Otis Thorpe for the breakaway slam, and that's the way it started and the way it continued. Robert Horry on Ceballos, score it with 1. The Rockets up 58-36 at halftime. Charles, you're traveling in the wrong direction. In the second half, down 18. The Suns' weakness in the middle was exposed, or maybe the strength of Hakeem Olajuwon just took over. 1 jumper, then another jumper over Mark West. Then another jumper on the baseline over West and Chambers. Mark West, we're not picking on you. Other centers have had the dream as a nightmare this season. Robinson a couple of weeks ago. It was West on this night. Boy, Hakeem, the patented move from that spot. Then in the painted area, falling away after the move over West. It was easy. And teammates Kenny Smith and Vern Maxwell out with the injury, laughing at Hakeem's 30. The Suns stall and fall as they get stuck, and they're down on their luck a little bit, losing 111-97. The Suns in town, and they get Barkley back after 5 games out with a shoulder injury. In the fourth quarter, Tom Chambers working hard underneath. gets the rebound of his own miss, puts it back, and this game between Portland and Phoenix is tied. A free throw puts the Suns up 1. They go to Cliff Robinson, and Cliffy hits it to put the Blazers up 1. With a half-second left, it looks all but over. This was a design play, throw it off the backboard. Barkley picks it up, plays, beat the clock, and wins. As dramatic a finish as you'll see, it was designed to hit the backboard, go to Cedric Ceballos. The replay inconclusive as to if he touched it and if he got the shot off in a half-second, but they count it, and Charles back off the injured list with what a great shot. Dan Marley said he was put on this earth to make shots like that.
But Charles would have nothing to do with that, telling Blades, stay down. But they would get back up. KJ, Charles Barkley for the alley-oop in the third, and then Charles plays assist man. Finds Richard Dumas. The Suns up 57-49, and they're a happy bunch. And then it's Thunder Dan finding Dumas again. The Suns by 5 after 3. 70-65. Fourth quarter, Lakers down 6, and they fire back. Byron Scott for 3. Good. Lakers down 3. James Worthy to Eldon Campbell, and look out below. And the Lakers bench can smell it. Look at Benoit Benjamin, quite a cheerleader. Then Worthy from the corner for 3. And nothing but the bottom of the net. We're tied at 80. And then it's Blade time. What a country. What a hook. Lakers up 2. And then DIVAC again. Perhaps the biggest play of the game as he spins around Chambers, and it counts. He had 19. The Lakers go up 4. The final nail in that proverbial coffin, Byron Scott. He scored in the first and the fourth quarters. Didn't score in the second and third. The Lakers by 5. Barkley leaves dejected, and Vlade and Byron and the rest of the Lakers saying, who would have thunk it? 86-81 the finals.
Los Angeles up 2 games to none at the Forum. Could they put the Suns away? A couple of veterans thought so, but the Suns had other ideas. KJ with a swipe, Barkley in transition, and gets it to Cedric Ceballos, who didn't play much, but made these count for the Phoenix Suns, who led most of the first half. Phoenix goes on a 17-0 run. Danny Ainge to Barkley, 39-24 Phoenix. Then LA getting back in at the baby hook from Vlade Divac. Lakers down 7 at halftime. Early third quarter. Kevin Johnson inadvertently elbows Vlade Divac in the right eye or above that area. And Randy Funn lost his center. He left with a bloody face, 10 stitches. And while Divac was out, James Worthy, rejected by Ceballos, stays right back with it and then hits and does a little trash talking with Cedric. They were going at each other most of the game. Divac returns and hits the 3. He had 30. What a country. Fourth quarter, Ainge from long range at this point, 3 of 3 from three-point range. He had 13 points in the game. And then Divac gets back into the game. Backdoor to Eldon Campbell. The Lakers get within 1 point. Barkley outlets to Oliver Miller, somehow got a loan for the two-handed stuff, and then Miller rejecting Campbell at the other end. Paul Westphal with a sigh of relief. The Lakers down 3, a chance to tie. Vlade misses badly on the three-point shot attempt. KJ hits some free throws to ice it, and Charles Barkley, a big factor, scoring 27. He clearly stepped forward in the final minutes to help the Suns win it.
First half, Sadell Threet lofting the layup over Charles Barkley. The Lakers down 4 at the half. In the third quarter, the Suns would pick up the tempo. Barkley denies Vlade on one end. KJ on the other end. Charles runs the floor and is rewarded. A 16-2 run. Suns by 14. Watch Barkley inside. Third quarter running down. Muscle Eldon Campbell out of the way. Countered in a foul. Look at me, Arsenio and Magic, as he gestures to them and bumps with Oliver Miller. Fourth quarter, Vlade and KJ exchange some words. Lakers emotions running high, and they heat up. Scotty beams one up, and Byron drains a 3. Shaking in L.A. Get it down to a 9-point deficit, about 6 minutes left, but the Suns come out of a timeout with some great half-court sets. Barkley uses the window. He had 28. And then Oliver Miller, the freshman out of Arkansas, what a factor. Get offense from Oliver. The Suns are going to win. The Suns win Game 4, shooting 72% from the field in the fourth quarter, 50% for the game, winning by 15, evening it at 2. The decider, Sunday in Phoenix.
Began back on April 30th with a Laker victory. One more L.A. win would complete the biggest upset in postseason history. We take you to the third quarter. This game appeared to be in control for the Suns. Oliver Miller from Charles Barkley, the Suns by 10. The kick start by Randy Funn and James Worthy. A tremendous series. The turnaround in Marley's face. And then Worthy again on Thunder Dan. And then James saying, you're going to give me the 3. I'm going to take the 3. Good. Game tied at 89. Some controversy down the stretch. Marley puts up the 3 to beat the clock. Does Barkley beat the clock? The basket counts. The Suns up by 2. Barkley had 31. But the Lakers would score the next 6. Eldon Campbell, who came alive in this series. The great hops, and he's up. The Lakers up by 4 with a minute to go. Barkley, his biggest hoop of the afternoon. He struggled from the floor. Suns going for the tie, and Thunder Dan, who spent Saturday night in the hospital hooked up to an IV. Coming back from the flu, they go into overtime. Sorry, Jack Nicholson. KJ, Oliver say goodbye to the Lakers. Phoenix scores the first 7 points of overtime. Worthy congratulates the coming out party for Oliver Miller. The Suns pick up the victory by the final of 112 to 104. You enjoy my highlights. Barkley, Mark West for the lay-in. Willie Anderson running the point, slips and falls. KJ, one of his 5 steals, finds Thunder Dan. Anderson went down hard. He would later return. Suns by 13 after 1. Big half for Antoine Carr. 13 in the first half, 19 for the game, but the Suns led by 8 at the break. Third quarter, Richard Dumas, the great save to West, and it counts. Suns by 12, and KJ is pumped up. Sometimes it hurts when you score, right, Mark? Robinson trying to keep the Spurs in it, using Oliver Miller. End of the third, KJ, one of his 7 assists, finds Dumas. Suns by 9 after 3. Dumas had 10 in the third quarter alone. But the Spurs would not fade. Anderson, Admiral. Spurs down by only 6. They were down by only 4 when Barkley says, I'll take matters into my own hands. The kiss off the glass and the kiss from Antoine Carr. Get up, Charles. You're a winner. 98 to 89. KJ had the big night, 25 points and 7 assists. The Suns, they have not lost to the Spurs in the playoffs. 4-0 now. And KJ now has 47 assists in the playoffs and just 19 turnovers.
He was trying to make a point, and he met a lot of them. Here, working the pick and roll with KJ, and Barkley in position for the jumper. Suns leading by 11 at halftime. Third quarter, look at Barkley play the defense on David Robinson. Gets it out of the way and then steals the ball. Sean Elliott loose as he denies the dunk. The Suns still up by 13 after 3. In the fourth quarter, Del Negro to Robinson. San Antonio cut the lead down to 6, but KJ to the rookie Oliver Miller on a nice bounce pass. And John Lucas would like a do-over as the Suns win it 109 to 103. So game 3 will be Saturday afternoon in San Antonio.
To forget game 2, Charles, when you scored 35. First quarter, Charles didn't listen. He hits and he's fouled. And speaking of foul, still in the first, Suns work the pick and roll. KJ to Richard Dumas, and Dumas goes around and over Robinson. John Lucas wanted the more aggressive D, and Antoine Carr gives him one. Second quarter, with 3 men on him, David finds Antoine. He plays D, he plays O, he played big today, scoring a playoff high 21. Carr took 14 shots, hits 10 of them. Also getting into the act, Dale Ellis, averaging 10 in the postseason, doubles his average with 20. The Spurs handle the Suns 111-96. Sean Elliott had 17. Oliver Miller, who's been playing well for the Suns, scored only 4 points, hit only 1 field goal.
For Charles and David, Suns strong early. Thunder Dan finds Barkley. Charles struggling from the field again in game 4. Game 3 hero Antoine Carr, lower left corner, lower left ankle, done for the day. But the Spurs would hang tough. Willie Anderson to Sean Elliott. We're tied at 26 after 1. Second quarter, more Charles. J.R. Reed and Sean Elliott with a double team. Didn't matter. Charles, the fadeaway. He had 13 first half points. Suns by 4 at the break. Second half, Spurs came alive, and they came alive because they went to the Admiral. John Lucas's team up 4. Robinson, 36 points. Fourth quarter, 6 seconds on the shot clock. Reed will lose it. Willie Anderson from 3. And then Anderson with his movie tribute to Michael Douglas, falling down. Lucas loves it. Spurs win it 117-103. Tuesday back to Phoenix as they play game 5. They're tied at 2 games apiece.
Phoenix, the Spurs and the Suns. Right off the bat, David Robinson with a slam dunk. And then as the third quarter winds down, Sean Elliott misses. Avery Johnson there. The Spurs leading by 5 after 3. But in the fourth, he's not a role model. He's just their big gun. And Charles Barkley takes over. Nice inside move on the foul on J.R. Reed. And then Barkley, the offensive rebound, another hoop and some harm. Barkley again going to the boards. Puts it back in. He's fouled once again. Charles in charge for 3. He scored 13 straight points in the fourth quarter. 36 for the game. And Phoenix wins it 109-97. So the Suns now take a 3-2 advantage. Game 6 back in San Antonio. Robinson in San Antonio. Barkley ready to do his part in the opening quarter. On the break, a two-handed stick, and the Spurs out to the early lead. John Lucas wants defense. Barkley from outside. The three ball that goes, 14 points in the opening quarter, and his team leading by 6, but he sat in the second quarter, didn't score any. The Spurs led at halftime. From Willie Anderson, the Admiral with a hammer job. Spurs leading by 5. Later in the third, Sean Elliott. Look at this move, baseline, Jordan-like. He had 19. San Antonio leading by 7 after 3. In the fourth, Spurs by 10. But Danny Ainge, the bullet pass to Barkley, that started a 12-0 Phoenix run. Suns led by 2 late in the fourth. Robinson goes through the cylinder to block Barkley. Charles wanted goaltending, no call. Phoenix hanging on to a 1-point lead. Then Oliver Miller missing, but KJ throws it back in. Suns by 3. They were up 4. San Antonio with the ball. You see the time in regulation. Dale Ellis hits the 3. It's a 1-point game. Danny Ainge goes to the free throw line. Hit the first, misses the second. Barkley fouls Robinson on the rebound. And Robinson, who was 6 of 10 from the free throw line in the fourth, hits to tie the game at 100. But Barkley goes one-on-one with the game on the line. 1.8 seconds to play with Robinson in his face. He hits the jumper, and the Suns have the lead. One last gasp for the Spurs. They're going to go to David Robinson for the tie, but Oliver Miller there to tip it away, and Phoenix hangs on to win, to nail the Spurs and force them out of the postseason. 102-100. Barkley playing 42 minutes, 10 of 24 shots, 28 points, 21 rebounds, and what came down to the end.
Opening up the Western Conference Final at home to the Seattle SuperSonics, whose play on the road in the postseason has left a lot to be desired. Coming into the desert, they were just 1-4. Charles Barkley set the tone early, powering his way through what was expected to be a punishing Sonic defense. Not there, they weren't. Then Kevin Johnson also showing his aggressiveness, walking right in, the dish to Barkley. Charles with 12 points in the first half. George Karl's Sonics took advantage, though, of 12 Phoenix turnovers in that first half. Perkins up to Eddie Johnson, who finds Michael Cage, yeah, why not, for the fantastic finish. Then the daring air attack. Powered up for the Suns, led by who else? Danny Ainge from you-know-where, three-point range. Ainge, 3 of the Suns' 4 three-pointers. Suns by 4 at halftime. In the third, Cedric Ceballos, who averaged just 4 points a game coming in, sparked the Suns 2 of his 12 third-quarter points. Suns up by 11 after 3. And then it's Oliver Miller time. Miller, a block. Then it's Miller again, having his way underneath. 15 points for the big man. Finally, Miller, the nice dish to Frank Johnson, and the triple fake. The Suns win this one easily, and the Gorilla, well, going ape. Phoenix, the score, a final 105-91. You know, before the series, everyone was talking about the Suns' questionable defense and weakness at center. Those 2 areas, they shined on this night. Phoenix blocking a team record 16 shots. In the opener, Seattle shot 41%, with Top Guns Ricky Pierce and Sam Perkins combining for just 15 points. As for the Suns' Top Gun, well, he was getting the royal treatment after receiving his MVP trophy. First quarters for Charles found out that Sean Kemp was not one of his royal subjects. Later in the first, Gary Payton, a bad game offensively, just 8 points. Phoenix going the other way, starting the break, looking like a mirror image in game 1. Charles with 2 of his 9 points in the first quarter. Mom likes that. Second quarter, Sonics hang tough, though. McMillan finds Ricky Pierce for 2 of his 19 first half points. In the third, Suns in control. Dan Marley, 29 points for him. Suns by 4, 2 minutes to go. They get a break. Right there, Danny Ainge the miss, but Michael Cage tips it into his own basket. Suns by 6. 1 minute left. Sam Perkins steps it up like he's had throughout the postseason. Sonics down 1. Under a minute to go, Danny Ainge. Look at this dish to Oliver Miller, and Miller just blows by Sean Kemp. Suns retake the lead by 1. But Phoenix, a big mental mistake down the stretch by Dan Marley, throwing it off. Charles Barkley, Sonics ball, 10 seconds to go. Here's the play, no surprise. Who gets it? Sam Perkins. 6 of 12 from three-point range in the series. Sonics up 2, last chance for Phoenix. KJ, the penetration, the dish to Danny Ainge, but the big play is watch the bottom of the screen. Barkley elbowing Sean Kemp. Barkley doesn't get away with it. He's called for the foul, and the Sonics escape the desert with a 103-99 win. Hold off retirement, Charles. This series is tied up at 1. back to the Sonics' house where they've lost just once at home during the playoffs. The Suns let this one slip. They held 6-point leads after the first, second, and third quarters, but could not penetrate the Sonics' D in the final 12 minutes.
Oliver Miller and Richard Dumas thinking if they shave theirs, maybe Madonna will dig them. Charles, the real thing. Charles got the Suns going early. Ricky Pierce blocked by Mark West up court. Barkley and the monster first half. Thunder Dan, Dumas. Suns by 5 early. Sonics not out of it. Off the jump ball, Sean Kemp controls the tap. Gary Payton finds the wide open Derek McKee. McKee had 20 points. And then it's McKee again. Great all-around talent. Finds the open man, Nate McMillan. And Paul Westfall's team down by 3 at the break. Second half, the Sonics. Payton, Kemp, jams it over the Big O. Who doesn't like it? But George Karl does. And then Thunder Dan on Eddie Johnson gets taken to the hoop, gets taken to school. Sonics by 11. How bad was it for Phoenix? Air ball. Charles knew it. Sean Kemp is going to make the Suns pay. The no-look, Pierce, who touches nothing but the bottom of the net. Sonics by 15. But that's what Sean Kemp does best. 20 for Kemp, the man-child. And finally, it's McKee. Eddie Johnson. McKee had 6 assists. And the pump of the fist, the Suns done. George Karl's Sonics, meanwhile, tie the series up at 2 with the comfortable victory. Dominated.
Half tough Sonics D. KJ drives and loses it. Back the other way we go. Ricky Pierce, 2 of his 27. Charles on stage. The dribble drive, 24 in the first half. Sonics down 5 at the break. Second half, it's the Dan Marley show from behind the line. Then it's Marley again. Double pumping. Give him 3. Marley isn't done. From 30 feet, switch. Suns by 10. Sonics hanging around. Sean Kemp playing big. Pretty move. He scored 33. Then it's Marley. Believe it or not, he misses a 3. Barkley is there to pick up the rebound. Late in the fourth, Sean Kemp keeping his team in it. How's he hit this from behind the backboard? Hit 13 of 18, but Thunder Dan, the biggest shot of the game. 21 seconds left on the clock. That seals the deal. Paul Westfall happy. Suns win it, 120 to 114.
Big title. The Knicks.
Seattle fans just love Charles Barkley. Hey, that guy should write for Jay Leno. First quarter, Barkley couldn't hit from anywhere. Tries for 3. Shut out from 3-point range in this game. Then Barkley tries just the outside J. No good. Barkley with only 8 points in the first half. He also was a bit frustrated. Got a technical by sharing his vocabulary with the refs and with us. Second quarter, Dana Barrows can't find it, but Sean Kemp sure does. One of his 15 rebounds. Sonics up by 9 at the half. In the third, Cedric Ceballos comes up limping. Injured his left foot. He left and did not return. Still in the third, Barkley still couldn't get it to fall. Does this play look familiar? Charles Barkley obviously doing his Charles Smith imitation. 4 tries, all blanks. Charles says to the officials, take that and that. You missed. Early fourth quarter, Sam Perkins drilling one of his 4 3-pointers in the game and put the Sonics up by 16. That's a reason to smile. Minutes later, Michael Cage and Danny Ainge got into it, obviously arguing about who has a better hairstyle. Then Nate McMillan, the sweet pass to Sean Kemp. And the real nice play, 22 for Kemp. The Sonics dominated the boards. Ricky Pierce hustling, beating Barkley, and then banking it in, 27 for Ricky. Finally, more of Kemp, draining the J. Sonics do it. They come back, win it by 16. George Karl looking forward to a Game 7. Charles not in charge in Game 6. 118-102 the final. All of Seattle's starters scored in double figures for the first time in the series.
See what happens. The Suns looking to be the bullfighters. That's a lot easier said than done. Jordan, the nice bounce pass to Horace Grant. He hit on 5 and 9, and the Bulls by 10. Scottie Pippen, great pass. Good hands by Scott Williams for the layup. The Bulls by 20. Things not looking good for Paul Westfall. Suns do come back. Barkley, Oliver Miller. Miller had only 6. The Bulls by 11 at the break. More Suns in the third quarter. Frank Johnson played a solid 9 minutes. Dan Marley hit only 1 of 4 from long range. KJ misses. Richard Dumas is there for the monster jam. He scored 20 in 42 minutes. The Bulls lead is only 4 after 3. Fourth quarter, Chicago shines. MJ, the hanging left-hander, 14 of his 31 in quarter number 4. Scottie Pippen, the hanging right-hander. 27 points for Scottie. B.J. Armstrong, same spot he killed the Knicks with a 3. He does it again. B.J. also dished out 5 assists. Scottie finishes it off, hit on 12 of 20. A rude awakening to the NBA Finals for Charles and company. They lose 100 92. The Bulls 15-1 in the postseason series when they win the first game. Jordan's 31 points, moving him past Elgin Baylor on the all-time playoff scoring list. Charles Barkley has been a one-man wrecking crew. KJ can't handle the pass. Charles says, all right, I'll do it myself. Against Horace Grant, he goes baseline. He had 25 in the first half. The Bulls would return fire. BJ to Horace for the stuff on Barkley. Grant, 10 of 13. The Bulls worked a give and go. Pippen to Jordan, nice dish to Grant, 45-39. Horace had 24, and Charles was fired up in search of support. Tom Chambers misses. Barkley, the offensive rebound. He had 13 boards. Then from the top of the key, it's Barkley on Stacey King. He hit 10 of 12 from the line, and the Suns trail 6 at the half, 59-53. Then it's Jordan losing the ball. Marley takes it in, uses his left hand. He scored 13, and the Suns are down 1. Phil Jackson wants his team to step up, and they do on D. KJ drives. It's blocked by Williams. Armstrong the other way. Off the glass, the Bulls up 87-84 after 3. Barkley trying to get the rebound, goes down hard. Will it stop him? Nothing would. Through the Bulls defense for the bucket, and the Suns lead 91-89, but here comes MJ from BJ. The hoop and the foul. Jordan 18 of 36. The Bulls by 6. He scores 42. The fake and the pop. It's 106-98 Chicago. 29 to go, and Scotty in Danny's face for the block. This is the second game in a row. Charles leaves shaking his head. The final, 111-108. MJ missing the triple-double by only 1. Along with his 42 points, he grabbed 12 rebounds, dished out 9 assists. Charles Barkley was the Phoenix Suns. He matched Michael's 42, also grabbed 13 boards. Scottie Pippen had a triple-double, 15 points, 12 rebounds, 12 assists.
The Suns appeared at home, though, in the third quarter. Dan Marley awakening in the series, one of his many threes, and Paul Westphal's team had the lead after 3. It would grow. Barkley to Ainge, who buries the 3. Suns by 11 inside of 6 minutes to play. But the Bulls rally. The old off-the-back inbounds pass. Pippen with the dunk. Chicago back within 3. Next possession, Jordan to Horace Grant. Game tied at 101 with $1:33 to play. For the closing seconds of regulation, KJ strips Michael. The lead pass to Marley, who has a dunk. Wait a minute, you heard a whistle right there. Why? KJ called timeout after the steal. Westphal couldn't call it off in time. So in the closing seconds of regulation, Charles, a chance to win it, can't get it done. Bulls called timeout. Barkley, one more chance to win it, closing seconds, and then the mad scrum. 2 Suns fight for it. Ainge for the win, but it rims out. And Westphal agonizes. We go to a second overtime, tied at 107. Marley, the big shot right there, ties it. We go to a third overtime, 114 apiece. In the third extra session, Marley, the deep 3, buries it. Biggest shot of the game right there. Suns up by 1. Then the clincher. Stacey King will get the rebound, then make the awful pass, and Barkley for the steal and the layup. The Suns crawling all over the floor with exhaustion and exuberance. 129-121 in 3 overtimes. The Bulls lead cut to 2-1, their first home loss in this year's playoffs. But they're now just 3-3 at home in the last 3 finals. 63 minutes, the Suns shoot 31 free throws. The Bulls shoot 9. Phil Jackson has snapped.
Tonight at the sold-out stadium in Chicago, with the home team win a game in the finals. Well, the Suns start quick. Good defense. Richard Dumas, the steal, takes B.J. Armstrong around the world. Dumas had 17. But the Bulls say weak and fast break, too. Michael to B.J., who's going to lay it up, and Scotty's going to throw it down. Pippen had 14 after the hoop. KJ and B.J. with some pushing, and B.J. gets called for the foul. Bulls by 1 after 4. Then Michael weaving through the team. Bulls by as many as 9. Closing seconds of the half, though, Dan Marley hits 2 threes, including this one with Michael in his face. The Bulls lead just 3 at the break, despite 33 from Michael Jordan, who just continued in the second half. The head fake on Marley in the fall-away. Then Jordan, the drive in the lane. Everyone converges. Michael scores it with 1, and Westphal is concerned. His team frustrated. Danny Ainge, in-your-face defense by Jordan. He throws it away, and those two were face-to-face quite some time. Bulls by 5 after 3, but in the fourth, KJ took more of the offensive load despite a little bit of an injury. He scores there, but Michael, 1-on-4. How many times did he do that to Paul Westphal's defense? More scuffling. Jordan and Ainge, a little elbow from Jordan, a little overreaction from Ainge. They come to blows for the second time in this game. Ainge got the fouls here, but the Suns really get close. KJ, terrific look to Barkley. 1 minute left, 2-point Bulls lead. Suns a chance to tie. KJ just plain fumbled it. BJ the steal, and in the same possession, Michael drives, draws the contact from Charles, hits the incredible shot on an incredible night for Michael Jordan, who had a second best in the finals ever, 55 points. And the Chicago Bulls, one win from the triple title, 111-105. Phoenix down 3-1. No one has ever come back from a 3-1 deficit to win the NBA championship. It's the first time this season the home team has won when Phoenix and Chicago play.
Bubble burst with a Game 7 before. So, well, in the first quarter, both teams come out shooting hot. B.J. Armstrong hits 1 3. Hits another. He was 4 for 5 from behind the line tonight. Michael Jordan, the 3-ball. Bulls up by 11 after a quarter. Tom Chambers coming off the 1 minute in Game 5. Played stronger game tonight. The reverse dunk. Suns down only 2. Later in the second quarter, Scotty, the explosive first step. The dunk over Barkley. Bulls by 5 at the break. Third quarter, Jordan against KJ. Reduced to a jump shooter, but hits this baseline shot. The Bulls would build the lead back to 10. KJ would help bring them back. The penetration, the foul on Armstrong, it counts. Still a 7-point Chicago lead, though. Early in the fourth, Barkley, the fake. The drive ties the game at 88. The Suns had the crowd. They had momentum. The next possession, Jordan answers a short jumper in the lane, but he would have to work for his points. Bulls by 2. Then the Suns answer. Marley, the deep 3. He had 21. Phoenix had a 1-point lead. Suns played strong defense in the fourth quarter. The Bulls were tentative. No rhythm on offense. 3 24-second clock violations for Chicago in the fourth quarter. Westfall pumped. 40 seconds to go, though. No defense for this. They just part. Michael with a vintage drive pulls the Bulls back within 2. He had all 9 points at that point in the fourth quarter for Chicago. Still down 2. The penetration to Grant, to an open Paxson. The legacy of his career may be clinching shots from behind the 3-point line. Did it 2 years ago against the Lakers. 4 seconds to go, though, for the Suns. And KJ with the penetration. The seemingly open shot, but Horace Grant recovers, makes the rejection. So Grant, for the second consecutive game, no field goals, but 2 big plays. The embrace between Jordan and Barkley, and the historical 3-peat for Chicago. The first team in 27 years to win 3 straight titles. Only the 3rd team in history, the Lakers and Minneapolis, and, of course, the Celtics. The Bulls, 10 of 14 threes. They had only 12 points in the fourth quarter, an all-time low in the finals.